Hey everyone, welcome back. And thanks for joining if you're brand new. Here's another update to the garage interior that I've been working on and just the upper steel portion. I'll kind of go over where I'm at and the progress I've made in the last few days and show you what's going on. So if you watched my previous video, you'll see that I was working on some upper steel in my pole garage and just finished above one of the garage doors and the middle section and working on the second garage door. And I got that buttoned up. So that looks pretty good, and take a look. Here's above the second garage door bay. I'll take over this middle bay too, because I did kind of finish that, put the light covers and everything on. Other than that spot up here, that one right there, I still have not had a scrap piece that I can put in there yet. Not a scrap piece, but an extra piece that I want to cut a brand new panel. But got that middle section all together, got the covers on. That's looking really good. Happy with how that turned out. Got above the garage door bay done. That turned out really nice. I got the section above the breaker box insulated, and I'll show you what I did there. So I got the girts down here at the bottom. And then, of course, I have the one up here for the transition. And I'll have to I'll put another framing member in here somewhere. It's not really framing, but a backer board to go between here and there, because I'm gonna have to run another board here somewhere. And that's for the T111 to come down. It's gonna sit somewhere up in this area here, and similar to the bottom. I already have that one in there. And what that's going to do is allow me to put some kind of a cover, build some kind of a cover on later that I can remove, and kind of an access panel, I guess you'd call it, and get access to that breaker box. So you can kind of see here that the level, your outside facing finished wall is going to come here. So I have clearance there. I'm not worried about that, but I'll work on that once I get to the bottom. I do have insulation tucked in the bottom. I couldn't get back behind this board to put any insulation there. There's a girt between here and here. There's nothing I can do about that. I guess I could drill a hole, put some expanding foam in there, but I just don't think it's gonna matter a whole lot. I'm gonna try to insulate the cover or access panel that I put on there, and I think that'll do just as good of a job. I did get some foam panels, and I was able to tuck that down. It goes down pretty far to about right here. And then the same thing with the bottom, which you can't see it now, but I did tuck one up, and it comes up to about right here. So that part is insulated while it was open, so I should be okay. And then the top of it, of course, I got the insulation, wrapped a vapor barrier around it best I could there. And then kind of went on from there. You can see, I just have my router up there and a camera. I do have an outlet up there I had to cut out for, but got that one lined up real nice and neat. And then as we come down this wall here, I got this long wall here, pretty much all done. We'll take a walk down here. I had one outlet up there, and then also just some wiring I had to tuck out for if I ever do put a garage opener there. I have sensors and control wires and everything already wired in. This is my last section for the upper wall, and it's above this garage door. And as I know on the other two, these take a lot of time. They're just tedious to cut around, and you always run into something odd, it seems. And I'll show you what I mean here on this one. Let me get up this ladder here. I'll show you what I'm dealing with here. This door has a high lift track, which goes up to the ceiling, almost straight up, and then curves. It's unlike the front two doors, just because it's a shorter door. But because of that, it creates not an issue, but something I gotta work around a little bit. And when I say work around, so this is what I have to use is these J channels. And when this door comes up, I can show you with one hand here. don't think I can. Hang on one second. Here's a better angle. Hopefully you guys can see this. But you can see that it barely opens until it gets almost to the top of that board there. And that's sort of, I need at least an inch gap, again, for my J channel. On the other ones, I was able to put a little bit lower just because of the radius of the track. This one I got to put up pretty high. Based on opening and closing, I got to put it up this high off the bottom of that board. And the issue with that is, I did not plan for that, was there's nothing to nail this to. There's no backer board or gird or anything behind there to nail it to. I mean, I have one on each side, but that's a 4-foot span. That's a little bit too far. So what I'm gonna have to do is put a gird in there, just right in between there and then the other side there, just to give this J channel something to nail to. But yeah, again, I didn't plan for that, but that's the height that I need to put on there, and unfortunately that's what's gonna have to be. That's my next step. So I'm gonna work on getting these girts put in there. Once I get those girts, up in here, then I can start trimming out the rest of it for the J channel and hopefully continue on through there. Now there's gonna be a lot of clearance issues as I get to the top, right around where the springs mount. I'll show you there what I mean. So this track and the springs are tucked pretty tight to the ceiling there. If you can see, that one isn't too bad, but right on top of that roller, you only have inches, and you're gonna have a J channel on the top of the ceiling, and then a J channel on that bottom, above that mount there, that garage steel there. So that's gonna be tricky to kind of work around, but I think we can squeeze it in there. And we're only talking 3 panels total to go across here. I also don't have to worry about any ribs lining up because we're going the opposite direction. You can see there. Don't have to worry about any ribs lining up, which saves a whole nother headache of trying to get this all squeezed in there. So keep watching. I'll update you as I get this section kind of installed and wrapped up. It's a whole day later, and I got it all finished. This one was a little tougher than the other ones. I actually had to go out and get some flashing. You can see the bottom here. That's what I end up doing. I end up just flashing that bottom. And then since I nailed that flashing on, I end up putting a little strip, kind of a transition between the two metals. And yeah, I know the white's totally different color white. Kind of matches the garage door though. So it's fine, not too concerned about the whites. There's a lot of different whites on the wall. Besides the metal, cover plates, those are different, brighter white. So it all kind of goes together. I had to flash that, as I mentioned, just because of where that door opened. So I had to go up that high, and I think that's roughly about 11 inches to the bottom of that J channel. So I had to go about 11 inches. And the door clears that track no problem now, maybe within 1/4 of an inch or so as it opens. So that's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Glad I took the time to flash it and everything. And then, just getting around, same as what I did with the front doors, just getting around the top up there. You can see I have some J channels. I stopped and then went around it with J channels. So I got that in there pretty darn good. You can see up there, J channels around the center support for the springs. And then same thing over on that corner there. What you may or may not be able to see from the video though, is there's actually an extra rib in the center. And it's the one that doesn't have screws. So to get around these center supports, they're all different. And it's just how they ended up. But what I ended up doing with this one was, if you can see that one rib right there, this one actually is not overlapped. That's just an end piece is all that is. You can kind of see the line right there. Let's see. Yeah, it goes all the way up, and then I tucked it back up in there. It looks very, very natural though, other than the spacing on that one is just a little bit off because of how I had to overlap it, but it looks good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I don't really know another way I could have done it. You know, I had to cut around that J channel going one direction, and how the other side lined up, I just couldn't get it to work any other way. So that's what I ended up with. It looks pretty good, especially if you kind of stand back here a little bit. It all blends in, you can't even tell. So happy with how that turned out overall. There's one thing that I need to fix that is sort of easily fixed. And I mentioned in my previous video about how I had one corner that the rib didn't quite line up on the ceiling. I didn't even notice. I had just put a piece in there that I had laying around, and it happened to fit in there perfect. It worked. So I ended up going with it, but I didn't pay attention to the ribs on the ceiling and they didn't line up. I want to show you though, probably the reason why I put it that way in the first place, and I didn't even remember. But let me show you what was going on here. I went ahead and took both corner pieces out here. This piece right to the top that was there was the one that didn't line up with the ceiling. And then I flipped that J channel because it was going the other direction. I thought maybe that was my problem. I could just flip that J channel, but I got something else going on here I wanted to show you. The first thing I want to show you is, look at that corner up there on the ribs on the ceiling. So that rib ends right in that corner there. So this J that I put here has to go that direction in order to tuck that, I guess it would be that raised section of that panel, into that J. So I definitely had to flip that. But what I didn't realize is I thought I could, because I'm only using one J in each corner. So that's what I've been trying to do. But what I didn't realize is where this piece ends up. Let me show you what I mean. This piece here that I'm moving around, that was the piece that came out. But for demonstration here, I'll show you. So that has to go on that rib like that. Problem is, look where that ends up. That other raised rib ends up right in the corner. So what I've been doing with the other ones, I've been cutting that raised corner off to a flat, and then I can tuck it under that J. But it's not gonna work because there's nothing, there's no flat there. It's on the raised section. So if it ends on the raised section, it will not work the same way. So basically you have two corners or two raised ends meeting in a corner, which that's fine. I mean, it is a corner, so it's not that noticeable. But because you have two raised corners that have to meet like that, the other way that I've been doing it, about just tucking them, in behind that J, isn't gonna work. So I'm gonna have to put another J channel. Let me show you here. I'm gonna put this other J channel up in there. And I'm just gonna have to do two J's. There's no other option. Just because you have two going in the corner, it won't look bad. It's only one corner, and I think it'll be fine. But that's something to consider. That's what I ran into. If I would have been an inch less somewhere along this whole wall, if it would have been an inch shorter or even an inch longer, I could have got away with only using one J, but it just happened to end right in the same spot. I'm gonna go ahead and get these fastened up, and then I'll get these panels back in. Well, this one here, I'm gonna have to cut a brand new one for. The one I took out of here, I think I can just shorten a little bit and reuse that one. But that's what I'm gonna work on, try to get this buttoned up and hopefully get that rib up there lined up with this panel. And there you go. Got them all buttoned up. It turned out really good. If you look at the rib up there, it now lines up perfectly. Got the double J in there. It doesn't look bad at all. So got that taken care of. I knew that would bug me, so I wanted to make sure I got that one done. I did have some extra pieces left, so it wasn't that bad. Now that I got everything finished on the steel, fixed that front, the rib, you know, got all that lined up and everything. That completes the steel, so I'm done. I mean, you can see it's all done on this wall too. That was the final wall. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything up, get the meadow out of the road, and I'll actually show you what I'm gonna work on next. Here's the next part, and this is what I picked up just the other day. And we got some LP smart sidings, what it is. It looks just like T111. That's pretty much all it is. They call it T111. This is just an LP smart siding. It's just got some glue and some different resins and stuff. It's supposed to be a bit more moisture resistant and sealed. Obviously I'm using it for inside the garage. I'm not too worried about the moisture. I'm gonna keep them off the ground a little bit too, so they won't be touching the concrete where they can absorb that moisture into the bottoms. And I'm gonna paint the bottom too, you know, as I go. So I'm not too concerned about the durability, you know, being all inside, not being exposed to any weather or anything like that. You know, this is what's gonna go on the transition. You know, you can see I have it set up already. So I'm gonna have to just cut those to the right height and then tuck them up underneath there. And then at the same time, you know, make sure I got all the outlets cut out and everything correctly and slide those all in place. This isn't all of them. This is about, let's see, I mean, I get 12. This is 12 of them. I'm gonna paint them on some sawhorses first, at least get a coat, maybe even 2 coats on them before I hang them. And then I may have to go back and do a touch up later on once they're on the wall, but at least I get majority of the paint on them, and it's gonna be a little bit easier, I think, doing it on sawhorses laying down. I hoped some of the stuff that I mentioned in this this video kind of helped you a little bit. If you're planning to do your own steel, go for it. I've never done it before in my life, and I think it turned out pretty good. It's pretty easy to work with. Just get the right tools and have a lot of patience, especially if you're doing it by yourself. If you have another person to help you, it'll go much quicker. Definitely more to come though in the garage. You know, I want to get the inside here finished. Hopefully before spring. Spring's just around the corner for me. And I hope to get, you know, all these walls kind of buttoned up, and that's what I'm going to work on next. And just make sure you like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I appreciate everybody's support, and we'll see you on the next one.